Hello everyone, I am TST's the Mudman, and today I'd like to talk to you about this wild new deck that you'll be able to play when the new set, Divine Order, comes out for Gods Unchained. So this is an aggressive, zooey, wild tribe themed deck. Let's go over some of the new cards. Let's see, first and most exciting is probably the Crescent Werewolf. This is like a cool mana cheat mega tempo engine type card, 2 mana, 2/2 wild creature. After you summon another wild creature, refresh 1 mana. And it's important to remember that this also applies to best friends. So you can play Crescent Wolf and best friends to spend 1 mana and refresh 2, and then play a Black Jaguar afterwards, and then a Marshwalker afterwards, and then a Wild Hog afterwards, and it goes from there. So if you have 2 mana and a pip, you can essentially play your entire hand, and it's pretty hard to come back from. And let's see, next up is the Rabid Bear. Rabid Bear is a super solid new card. Worst case scenario, it's 3 mana, 3/4, which is the same as Hunt Warden or Doom Cavalry, and those cards see play. So worst case scenario, this is just a fine 3 mana creature, but if you're frenzied, this creature gets +1 strength and confused. So a 3 mana, 4/4, that's obviously incredibly strong. And the confused thing is not so much of a downside for this deck, because you do have cards like Gloam Druid to buff up your confused creatures to do just massive amounts of damage. Alright, and our next new card is Starving Sabretooth. This one is very similar to the Rabid Bear, in that this is a 4 mana 4/5, which is a Wetlands Ogre, so decent enough card on its own. But if you're frenzied after this creature attacks a creature, rather, not attacks at all, it gets regen +1, and that can stack, so you can get to regen 2 and 3 and so on, and that's very powerful. And then last but not least is the Brazen Moose, which is another just simple, solid card. 5 mana 6/6 is relatively large for 5 mana. Normally 5 mana creatures are 5/6s. This one is confused, which is a minor downside, but it's also blessed. So upon playing this card, you'll be able to delve from 3 cool favor-themed effects, which are all generally worth between 1 and 2.5 mana. So all in all these new cards are very powerful. And now let's talk about the mulligans and some basic strategy. So in the mulligan, you are definitely looking for Crescent Werewolf. And if you have Crescent Werewolf, you're also keeping the pip. So you're not pipping into Crescent Werewolf. You're going to play Crescent Werewolf on turn 2 or 3, and then pip into creatures and just spill your entire hand. Besides that, in the mulligan, you're looking for your Marshwalkers, of course, your Underbrush Boars, your Black Jaguars, Canopy Barrage, not bad at all. And the mulligan is generally pretty easy because you have so many decent creatures. Obviously, you want Crescent Werewolf plus anything that's cheap, but Black Jaguars, Underbrush Boars, it's hard to miss on the mulligan for this deck. As you get to the mid-game, you continue playing big creatures like your Rabid Bear, your Overgrown Rhinos. Bladefly is not a big creature, but it is many creatures, so you got that going for you. And after you have a decent-sized board, which is very easy to, attain, you hit him with the Wildfire, buff everything, deal a little bit of damage to your opponent, and give all your creatures regen. It's incredibly strong. And one really important note for this deck is you have Bladefly, Wildfire, as well as Untamed Regrowth. This is like a really powerful 3-card combo. If you have absolutely nothing on your board on turn 4 with a pip, you can play Bladefly, Untamed Regrowth to refresh your mana and confuse your enemy creatures. The confused creatures matters more often than not, and then immediately buff all those creatures with the Wildfire. So if your board is empty with this 3-card combo, you play what is essentially 3 Black Jaguars, because they're 3/3s with confuse and regen 1, and deal 1 damage to your opponent's board on turn 4. That's amazing. And if you have anything else on the board at the time, that combo is it's game winning. You win the game on the spot. It's incredibly strong. But besides that super combo, you're just playing big stats, you're going face, you're making trades, and eventually you'll stick a Wildfire and win the game. So without further ado, let's jump into some gameplay footage. Okay, so let's hop into some nature gameplay. We're going to go with the Animal Bond God Power, since it produces wild creatures, and we are a wild-themed deck. Let's see, we're going second, so Canopy Barrage is great. We are a very aggressive, creature-centric deck, so Black Jaguar is good. Wildfire is an interesting one because it's not a creature and it's not cheap, but it is probably my highest win rate card. So I'm going to keep it in the opening hand. All this seems pretty decent. Let's see if we can pick up some marsh walkers, some wild hogs, some underbrush boars, all that good stuff. Maybe some new rabid bears right on cue. So let's plop down the Black Jaguar, as he is slightly bigger than my opponent's creature. And I'd like to pick up some of my mana cheat cards, like the Nature Unruly, I believe it's called, as well as the new one. Oh, Untamed Regrowth, that's what it's called. I'm really good at calling the cards today. Has a Blight Bomb? Yeah. This may not be the prettiest looking play of all time, but we can destroy one of his creatures and play a fairly large creature of our own that seems very powerful. We only have one creature on the board for Wildfire, but hopefully we can pick up some Best Friends or something spammy. Refill the board and capitalize on it. This is interesting. I'd like to pip this out, but giving this 5 health sounds very strong. You know, for obvious reasons. Let's play the Chiron, hit the button, and I don't want to trade, right? Let's go all face. And this the Starving Sabretooth, this is one of the new wild cards. As you can see, it's got Wetland Ogre stats, which is great for 4 mana, and also has an upside. Whenever you're frenzied, and this attacks a creature, it gets +1 regen. And that can stack, and that can be very powerful very quickly. My opponent strikes back with a super strong card of his own. Is it worth a Wildfire here? You know, it really is quite a decent Wildfire. It makes it so Chiron can kill this. It makes it so his 6/6 will die if he tries to trade into my Rabid Bear. Hopefully my Badger wants to go face like a good Badger would. Nicely done, Badger. Picked up the Gloam Druid, and we have the Crescent Werewolf, another one of the new cards. This one has some real potential power. After you summon a wild creature, fresh 1 mana. There's lots of 1 mana wild creatures, as well as Best Friends. So Best Friends is 1 mana, it restores 2 mana. So we didn't get him early on, but you can have like a turn 2 play where you play him out, pip into Marshwalker, refresh a mana, play Best Friends, play Black Jaguar or Underbrush Boar, refresh a mana, and it just goes on and on. So we're ready for some reload, is what I'm saying. Ooh, a Nolma. Interesting. Are you confused? Nope. How big does this thing get if I double buff it? It has 6 attack, right? It could possibly kill the Nolma. So let's go with a God Power and then a double Gloam Druid. Not the most value Gloam Druid you've ever seen, but it is pretty great. Let's see if we can go face. He has to trade for me anyway. Death doesn't have very many relics, so there's no reason to think about the Wiccan Trapper. Let's save our favorite for the Rune of Strength. It's the best card in the Sanctum right now. It's looking fairly good. He doesn't have enough mana for Neferu, which means our board should stick at least to a point. And his health total is very low. This Nolma could kill him. Pyramid Warden. That'll slow me down a bit. I wonder if the Nullmon takes a value trade. Nope. That's very good for us. Let's see. So, let's take this Rune of Strength, because it represents 2 burst damage, and it's going to make it harder for him to aim at my big, giant Super Badger. Alright, Badger, right. Oh, this is also lethal if he goes space. Of course not. So, our board is too strong, we don't even need the Crescent Werewolf. Just plop down the Best Friend, and the God Power for dominance. We are in Neferu territory. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I think we got him. I think we zooed out hard, buffed the board a good couple of times. I'm not sure if there's much coming back from this. Although he is death, he could return to the caves and be back at 30 before you know it. Goes for the Neferu. Oh, and then does the Nullmon damage, so we did it. GG. Dare I say that game was wild. Hey, you! Did you know that subscribing to the TST YouTube channel will increase your win rate by 6.9%? So what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. And while you're at it, equip Scythe of the Harvest and attack the like button directly in the face. Bye-bye!